Welcome back to the Gridcenter. I'm your host Shane Falco, along with my long-lost co-host Little D. If he returns in full form, he can earn the big back in his name. For right now, he's going to return as Little D.
All right.
Especially when the body count moves back down to the B. But anyway, another story, another time. We are here to bring you the SEC Conference preview for the spring 2012 season. Fall 2011 ended the same way spring did, with DX and TMT in the championship game. DX again coming out on top. Another very close game that went down to the end.
Yep.
Could expect to see more of the same this season. Don't know. There's obviously been some shaking up, as the SEC tends to do.
Yeah.
Players moving around, different teams. Some new teams. Teams moving up from the B, to the SEC.
Always
take their shot.
Always interesting.
So it always gives new matchups, and so always makes them for some fun. So let's just get down right into it. Let's do a little rundown of the teams and talk about any players that we've heard or we know that are on different squads, and a quick outlook for what the conference will look like.
Well, we'll start off with DX. Right now they're the hottest team in Vegas. They don't have the history as far as TMT, but right now they're hot. I mean, this goes on fire. I mean, if you can go and win a national championship with the Scrappers, B-League, don't matter. With the Scrappers, if you can win a tournament with the Scrappers, he's really hot right now. I think he's this close to getting a Nike deal.
Think so?
Yeah.
That's a lot of praise there.
Yeah, kudos. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I didn't think they was going to pull it out. Thought they was going to get the sophomore jinx, but they pulled it out. And,
well, they did load up pretty well for that second one.
Yeah, they loaded up. They filled in the key spots, but they came and they balled out. There's nothing else I can say about that. I mean, these guys are going to be the team to beat until somebody proves them otherwise.
Well, they haven't really lost anybody other than Keogh, who went back to UFB, and that's another conference, another time. But and I'm sure they've picked up a couple guys since then, because they're always looking to fill in a guy here or there.
Yeah. Well, they always stack up on the D linemen, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they really don't use offensive linemen because of the spread, but they can't have enough D linemen, though.
Right.
Which will come into play later on during the season, where playing time kicks in and stuff like that.
Always looking to cut into Jordan's playing time, it seems.
You said Jordan's playing time?
Well, it seems like that, and then I hear Dave's going to come off the bench and finally get some playing time. He's lost about 70 pounds, so.
All right, is that Dick Gregory? All right.
Yeah, I guess that's Dick Gregory going. You know all about that Dick Gregory.
I don't know, Dick Gregory. Right. I don't know about that shit.
TMT, well, they're back. I haven't seen them pick anybody up in God knows how long, so I expect they're going to come back the same. Credit has to be given to them, though, for the fact that DX has loaded up the last two seasons to win championships, and TMT's been right there with them at the end of the game with their same team.
Well, I mean,
so a lot can be said for chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry is the key. TMT really don't like a lot of new people in their camp. In order for you to be a part of TMT, you have to be, I don't know what it is, if they have to go through hazing or what have you, or I just don't know. But, I mean, TMT stay with TMT, which is the cliche, we're all we got.
Right.
And they all depend on each other. And, they can get younger just a little bit, with a little perk, and some of the other players that they pulled up. But whatever you see is what you get.
I think the biggest thing will just have to be, even in the championship game, they had guys showing up right after the game was starting and this and that. And I think they'll have to get back to kind of being there and ready to play, because obviously they can't just cruise anymore.
Well, a couple of years ago, well, a couple of seasons ago, actually before we started the grid, they was actually getting bored. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were smacking the shit out of everybody. They were getting bored, and it was like, 11 might be it for TMT. And he said, unless it gets more competitive. And I like the league because it has gotten a little bit more competitive. And people are just not going to come down and lay down to TMT. They're going to play them full smoke. And I think they like it. I'm pretty sure if they would have won 2 more championships, they'd be done. But being that DMX, I said DMX.
You did.
I don't know where the hell that came from. DX is doing what they're doing in the SEC. It keeps them around long. Yeah. It keeps them on their toes, and that's a good thing for the league.
It is. Well, after TMT, we'll just start naming off teams, I guess, from here.
Yeah.
You got sick with it. They kind of flew under the radar last season, and then didn't. They had some people missing in the playoffs, and then I'm pretty sure that cost them a big reason that cost them that game.
Yeah. They beat the shit out of fucking Bad Boys though.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mark. I mean, I seen Mark. I mean, he's down. I mean, he's got to have lost like 75 pounds. You know, he's a little bit more agile. Looks like James a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, James is fat, but you know, he looks like a slim James. You know, he doesn't have the belly. He has the upper body, but he lost a lot of weight. He's really taking himself seriously.
Yes.
And he looks like a different individual.
My understanding is that the now defunct Rebel alumni, some of those players have matriculated to the Sick-Witted camp.
I can see that happening.
So, I mean, obviously that just gives them more players and more depth. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. You know, and let's see what happens with Steve. I mean, there's some talk around the league that Steve really isn't a big threat anymore. That he's not the same player he used to be, and I'm sure, you know, if he catches wind of that, he's going to want to play with more fire. But that's just some of the talk has been that he's not the guy you have to game plan for that he used to.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to be down there, and he's gonna have to prove that. I mean, the league has gotten faster, so it's not as easier as it used to be. But he's probably one of the hardest persons you have to game plan if you run into defense.
By far, in my opinion, he's still one of the best playmakers out there. Yeah. I'm just saying that there is some talk.
Yeah, I mean, he's not no Disco, but you know, he's somebody to be reckoned with. I mean, I'm pretty sure if he said, "I'm leaving Sick-Witted, anybody wants me to play for their team, just give me a holler," the whole league will be hollering.
There'd be a long list of people. That's for sure. List. Absolutely. Yeah. No Limit has lost some players. They had a big roster last season, but some of those players have broken off, and they've created a new team.
Okay.
So it's kind of a new team, kind of an old team back together sort of thing. But where that leaves No Limit, we don't know.
Well, I mean, as long as Gene is quarterbacking for them, they're always going to be a contender, no matter what.
Yeah, if they get solid O-line play, and I mean, he's still going to have some weapons. You know, they still have the running game. They're still one of the teams that still runs the ball very well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always going to be a factor just from they've got a lot of experience on that roster. So whether they have anybody new in addition from the guys they've lost, we don't know. They tried to kind of load up the past season and it didn't really work out. Yeah. It started out really well, and then they just kind of tailed off towards the end of the season. Yeah. And then
they didn't have a good showing in the playoffs.
No, they looked really bad in the playoffs. Really bad. Speaking of that new team, we have The Rock, which is kind of the core of Young Money. You're going to have Dante, Lamont, and I'm sure some of the other guys. And then they also have Rick Ross and Cole.
Who's quarterback?
They have Q. He left LNG and went over with
that's not
them.
Not a bad pickup.
Obviously, he has weapons to work with. Just how well they all gel together, playing together themselves instead of being on a different team.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But obviously, it's an interesting roster to say the least. I mean, some good names to start off with. So how they fill out the rest of the roster, we'll kind of see how they fare. And then the SEC is always tough. Yeah. So as far as LNG, obviously they lost Q, so Mashari will pretty much be taking all those snaps, I'm sure. Their biggest problem, I think, last season was they lost all their O-linemen. So yeah, LNG, with an O-line, obviously they like to use a lot. They like to run a spread philosophy with a conventional look. Dumping the O-lineman a lot of pitches. Mm-hmm. Mashari's always making plays back there, so Yub's always a threat on the outside. So
a lot of athletes. They got a lot of athletes.
They do, and they usually have pretty good chemistry. Sometimes they let other factors other than their play affect the way they play. So
yeah, I mean, they changed it up a lot. I mean, they're partially warring referees now. and which is a different game plan than what they did. They figured if you can't beat them, join them.
Right.
And the result of that, got my fucking ass kicked out the game. But, you know, there's no hard feelings with that. I mean, they was really handing it to us anyway, and they deserved to win. And they got what they did is just, you know, dumbass Mike. So, what the fuck? I mean, no offense to anybody out there, with the exception of Mike. I'm looking forward to seeing LMG with a line this year.
Yeah, I mean, they had a down season, and I'm sure they're looking to bounce back.
Yeah. So,
you know, then we got a couple of newcomers. You're going to have the Mad Dogs moving up after winning the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite quarterback to hate, I guess, Mark, will be in the SEC, so
yeah. I kind of wish
it's going to happen.
I really kind of wish that they could have stayed down one more season. I thought things was just entirely too easy for them.
You think so?
Year. I do. And
you know, looking at the game on a 4-game losing streak, so I don't know if that's easy.
It's easy. It's easy, and they totally just fucking dismantled Dynasty, which is out of control to me. Where this guy had a good season, and all of a sudden, Mark really didn't even destroy him in the game. The game was pretty close, but they just broke up. Was it because they was going to move up to A? They told everybody they wanted to move up to A, and then they kind of figured, fuck man, if we can't beat Mark at quarterback, how the fuck are we going to play in the SEC? So the guys just pretty much dispersed. But I just think that a true test for Mark would be in the Big 12, Big 10 this year.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously...
Oh, I know what the fuck is going to happen.
Okay, well...
I know what's going to happen. Not taking anything from the Mad Dogs. They deserve the championship, and they're moving up, but...
All right. Well, since you brought up that point, it also helps lead to the final teams that are in the SEC. First off being the Bad Boys, who we left off because part of that dynasty breakup was they picked up Jimmy and Rocket as their quarterback.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a different look. Jimmy, I think, is a fantastic fit for the Bad Boys. They like to play that pressure defense, man-to-man, and he's good at that.
Which one is Jimmy, 2?
Yeah.
Little skinny, little light-skinned dude?
A little DB receiver.
I don't know, man. I mean, if you look at the Bad Boys, you know, these guys...
I'm just talking about their defensive scheme.
No, I'm talking about this. I'm just talking about overall in general. It's just...
But we're not here to debate personalities
You're right.
and getting along. I'm just talking about football. And football-wise, I think it's a good fit because they like to, you know, send all those guys at the quarterback. They like to match up on the outside, lock up, get in your face, and Jimmy excels at that. Jimmy likes to do the same thing at DB. He likes to play man-to-man, lock up. So I think that's a good fit. Now, if you want to get into the whole personality and the other stuff and not just football, then you can talk about Rocket.
Nah, well, Rocket, this could either be the best thing that ever happened to him in reference to playing with the Bad Boys, because like I said last year, they are missing the key ingredient, somebody to run their offense, you know. And either this could be good or this guy could seriously get hurt. Seriously get hurt. Some thugs over there.